Are you or someone you know looking to buy or sell a home? When you use a HomeGain Realtor to buy or sell a home, you can get $150. Visit HomeGain.com and click on the Promo 150 banner at the top of the page to get started. Compare HomeGain Realtors and choose your favorite. Complete your home purchase or sale transaction with a HomeGain Realtor, and HomeGain will pay you $150. Get started today by going to HomeGain.com. Are you buying or selling a home? Having a realtor can make buying or selling real estate much easier. HomeGain can recommend and connect you with a top real estate agent in your area. Call 866-512-7918 or visit HomeGain.com. Did you know, according to a HomeGain nationwide survey, that having a realtor working for you improves your chances by 50% of getting your home sold? HomeGain can recommend and connect you with the top real estate agent in your area. Call 866-512-7918 or visit HomeGain.com.
You're listening to Real Estate Radio Washington, D.C. Metro with local expert Ryan Sloper. Now, here's Ryan.
Welcome back, Washington, D.C. Metro, to Real Estate Radio. I'm your host, Ryan Sloper. Coming up, I'm going to be joined by Ed Blazek from Blazek Building Inspection Services. Remember, quick reminder that Real Estate Radio is designed to build the Washington, D.C. Metro's market by giving you good free advice. If you ever have any questions, concerns, or real estate needs, the best number to reach out to us is 877-245-2030. That's 877-245-2030. So let's go ahead and get Ed on the line. Ed, are you there?
I'm Ryan.
Ed, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm fine, sir.
Great. You know, I'm glad we got you on today because, you know, I think it's kind of perfect timing. I think there's a lot of first-time home buyers out there in the market right now. And a lot of people, you know, when this is their first purchase, they have a lot of questions. And, you know, the transaction tends to start with the real estate agent. So as they're going through the contract, one of the addendums that obviously comes up is a home inspection. Would you mind giving our listeners just the logistics of, you know, what is a home inspection and why do they need it?
Okay, well, it's first off, it's a visual observation of the building and its systems, the structure, the plumbing, heating and air conditioning, the electrical system, any of the major appliances that convey with the house. And we're looking, it is visual. We're not allowed to do any destructive evaluations, things like cutting holes in walls and ceilings, tearing up floor coverings, taking systems apart. But typically, it does give the buyer a good idea of the condition of the property. And most of the inspectors now use a computer-generated report, and it incorporates digital photos. The walkthrough process of the inspection also allows the homeowner to hear, we go over maintenance tips. They know the locations of main water shutoffs, gas supply valves, filters, et cetera. They get to learn the function of the house and the locations, the different sections and parts of the home as well, and as far as how to keep it up and maintain it once they move in.
Yeah, so I would say that it's almost critical that, you know, these home buyers at least get this inspection, because if they don't, they could be walking into something that has a lot more problems than they actually will know about or come to find out later.
Absolutely. I've been to some inspections where they had their friend or a family member that had come along or initially wanted to come along and take a look at the house for them, and as is almost typical in those cases, they don't find near what a home inspector is going to do. We are trained specifically to locate problems with the house and those systems where the relative or the family friend may not understand or know what to look for.
Gotcha. Well, you know, let's give a little example here. Like, let's say that I'm a first-time home buyer, Ed, and I'm out there, just wrote my contract, and, you know, my agent's telling me, okay, you have to get a home inspector. How should a buyer go about selecting a home inspector? That's the first question. And then, you know, what do you think the most important thing is in looking for a home inspector?
Well, the questions I'm typically asked is how long I've been in the business. They like to know how many inspections I've done, whether am I licensed and insured, and licensing would come with each specific state. Not all states require the inspectors to be licensed, although that's changing rather rapidly. Virginia has a voluntary certification for home inspectors, not specifically a license, but which I have. But they ask those kind of questions. How many have you done? What's your experience? What's your background? Want to make sure you're insured, a member of a national inspection organization, which is also critical. That ensures that the inspector is getting ongoing, continuing education, again, specifically related to the home inspection field. And I don't know that one is really more important than the other. Experience certainly is good, but the training is critical. A lot of ex-builders come into the inspection field. While that is good experience to have, the training specific to a home inspection is really a major factor in how good a home inspector is and what he finds, what he's able to find.
Okay, that's great information. You're listening to Real Estate Radio. I'm your host, Ryan Sloper, joined by Ed Blazek, who's the president of Blazek Building Inspection Services, and we're discussing home inspections. Ed, I know you offer home inspections, but don't you also offer some other services as well? Is that correct?
I do. I offer radon testing. And mold. I do mold samplings. If the buyer has a concern about mold in the house, we can take some air and physical samples and have them analyzed, and it will give them the information that's going to help them as far as ease their concerns about mold. Everybody seems to be real concerned about mold these days. And,
yeah, especially in foreclosures.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably critical if you're buying a foreclosure that could have, sat vacant for 6 months to a year.
Yes, especially if the house has a sump pump that needs the power to operate it, and typically the power is turned off. And we have seen a lot of homes where because of that condition, there has been mold growth in the basement where the water has built up.
Right. Well, you also mentioned radon. Can you
Yes.
explain to listeners? People are so confused about this, and why it's important to run a test for this.
Yes, radon is a natural occurring. It occurs from the decay of uranium in the ground. It produces a gas that seeps up through the soil and can enter a house. And it's the EPA projects it's estimated to cause upwards of 23,000 deaths per year of lung cancer. The gas enters the lungs, and the radon decay particles, they attach to the lung tissue, and that it's a long-term exposure type thing. And most houses are subject to that if there is radon in the ground.
Right. Is there like certain areas that would be more prone to have that?
The EPA has a radon map of the country based on their testing done over the years and the instances where they found the radon. There are 3 zones of concentration, 1, 2, and 3, 1 being the highest, 3 being the least. And as far as those zones, in my particular area, those 3 zones run through Virginia and basically through the largest portion of the areas that I inspect. But it can vary widely. The concentrations can vary from house to house, even though they may be in the same zone.
Gotcha. So it's probably a nominal charge to get that done on top of the home inspection, I'd imagine. So it might be worth doing, especially if you're a first-time home buyer.
The testing averages between 135 up to 220, 25, 250, depending on where you're at and the person that you choose to do the testing.
Okay, that's great. You're listening to Real Estate Radio. I'm your host, Ryan Sloper, joined by Ed Blazek with Blazek Building Inspection Services. Remember, guys, if you have any questions or you want to reach out to Ed, you can contact me. I'll put you directly in touch with him. The number is 877-245-2030. That's 877-245-2030. Now, Ed, I mean, we know that the areas in Virginia, Washington, D.C. metropolitan area is covered in short sales and foreclosures all over the place.
Yes.
And, a lot of the time these purchases are by the bank sold as is, meaning that, you're really not going to get anything fixed. However, it is, I think, critical for these type of sales to hire, a home inspector for a pre-purchase inspection and at least have some sort of contingency that would allow them to get out of the contract if there is something significant that you might find. Would you not agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact that they are sold as is, the buyer, you still want to know what you're buying, what kind of shape it's in. And that's, it's as important, maybe more important, to do the inspection on that type of home as it relates to an occupied house, because there are just things that the average person will go through a home, give it a quick visual around, and not really know what to look for, and that's where the home inspector comes in as far as identifying those items. It's going to give the buyer an idea of what costs they may incur as far as repairing or replacing, remediating, and so on, as far as any problems that exist.
Yeah, and you and I had spoke before, and one of the things I think you write up quite a bit is maintenance on the heating and AC units, correct?
Yes,
and
that's Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. But what I was going to say is that, if somebody that's walking into a foreclosure and they're buying it, let's say, market value for normal sales might be $250, they're buying it for a discount at $220, but then, you go in there and you find out that a lot of these systems are not functional. They could be spending a lot more money to have to update or completely, redo.
Yes, absolutely. And the fact that some systems and appliances, the fact that they just sit for certain periods of time can also have a deleterious effect on those systems, just for the fact that they've been sitting unused.
Right. Well, let me ask you one more question before we have to come up on a break. But
yes.
Do you have any good tips for home maintenance items for buyers that once they get in there, they can really help them cut back on their energy bills?
Well, as we just discussed, one of the biggest ones is going to be the heating and air conditioning systems. That is one of my most common write-ups, no matter what type of home, occupied, vacant, old, new. Annual maintenance on the systems is critical. Keeping them clean, clean filter in the system, monthly checking on the filter, annual servicing of the systems. That's going to go a long way towards not only extending their life, but making them run as efficiently as they can, which will naturally keep the utility costs down.
Well, I would imagine. I think that's I think a lot of people actually, that's probably the one hang-up. I know I'm sometimes at fault for not actually remembering to change the filter every month.
Yes, well, we all are. But it's once you get into a habit, if you can make it a habit, keep the filters handy. You can buy them in packs at the store. They're very inexpensive. Keep them in a place where you know they're at. You're not going to forget about them. And once you get into the habit of doing it, it becomes very easy. And then, of course, you can get a maintenance contract on those systems where you won't have to remember to do the servicing. The company that is providing the maintenance contract will come out and do that automatically at least twice a year.
Okay, that's good. So typically, how long does the inspection actually take from start to finish? Let's just say it's a single family house, 2,500 square feet.
Looking at an average of 2.5 to 3 hours.
Okay, and then so you go through the house, you check out everything, and then once you're done, you do a full report with color pictures.
Yes.
Okay.
It incorporates digital photos, and it's printed out on site. I usually put it in a binder, depending on the type of property, whether it's if it's well and septic, I include additional information on septic systems. Just depends on the house and the type of systems and the particular setups in the house as far as whether additional information is added to the report or not. And that's from a maintenance standpoint for the owner,
okay,
for the buyer.
Well, that's great information, Ed. I really appreciate you coming on today. And if you wouldn't mind, give your contact information for listeners, that anybody that's out there that might have some questions currently, that they can give you a call.
Oh, I'd be happy to. The toll-free office number is 800-897-7096. Website is blazikbuildinginspections.com. And that has all of my contact information on it as well, email and such. The email is specter95@comcast.net, and Specter is spelled SPECTR.
Great, Ed. I really appreciate you coming on, and we'll have you back on real soon.
Ryan, I appreciate it. Happy to do it.
Thanks.
Anytime.
All right, take care. You're listening to Real Estate Radio. We'll be back. Stay right there.